let's face it, it's not procedural. I think what is happening here is really more of a political harassment for the vice president.
Sa mga oras po ito, nasa linya po ng ating komunikasyon via Zoom si Professor Froilan Calilong, isa pong political analyst. Prof, good morning. Jade at Admar po, muli ang inyong mga kasama. Maraming salamat sa inyong oras.
Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Admar, and thank you for having me again.
Opo, Prof, nakamonitor ho ba kayo kahapon sa impeachment hearing ng Kamara?
Yes,
Opo.
actually, I was personally there.
Wow, opo.
Sa Congress.
Ito nga, ang wala po doon ang Vice Presidente. Isa po siya sa mga inimbitahan, Prof. Ano ho ba yung nakikita po ninyong implikasyon ng hindi pagdalo ng pangalawang Pangulo doon po sa hearing ng Kamara kaugnay nga po dito sa kanyang impeachment complaints?
Well, in the first place, she's not really supposed to be there, I believe, no? Dahil in the first place, ang nilalatag pa lang naman dito ay yung paghahanap ng probable cause. And the burden of contention or the burden of proof here is not with the Vice President. She's being the one being accused. No? So I think it's imperative that it's the people, practically the House, that is making their assertions and allegations that should come up with a better justification of their case, and not the Vice President. Because in the first place, this is not the forum. This is not the forum in which the Vice President should be attending. This particular proceeding. I don't even consider it as a proceeding in the first place because they're just trying to see how they could file a case against the VP. So I think it's really more for the office, more about creating the narrative and making the Vice President appear as if she is already convicted of a crime that hasn't been proven yet, no? Because the forum is not it's not the right venue. So naniniwala kasi ako na yung pagsagot mo, no, sa isang allegation eh dapat nakaangkla din doon sa tamang lugar, no. And I think this particular justice committee hearing is not the venue, no? So by which they are supposed to be, the vice president is supposed to be airing her side. Because if she does this, then I think she will be open to a lot of attacks. And let's face it, it's not procedural. I think what is happening here is really more of a political harassment for the vice president. And it's a good thing that the vice president does not want herself to be immersed in this kind of situation. Dahil hindi magiging maganda ang implication at hindi rin magiging maganda ang maaaring gawin sa kanya itong mga nandito sa mababang kapulungan. Let's face it, it's not a neutral ground.
Opo.
Not at all. I mean, if you look at the composition of the people that are there, all of this has an axe to grind against the vice president. And, mas maganda na hindi na talaga siya ito pumunta. So if they would want to vote for it, if they would want to bring the impeachment to the Senate, then why do they need to go through this, no? Last year naman nung minadali nila yung impeachment tong February, di ba? Wala namang basta nagbotohan na lang sila and then inelevate na sa Senate. Then I think why can't they do the same thing right now unless they are afraid that they do not have the same numbers as they do have back in the 1920s.
Opo, kasi nga ang sinasabi po ng mga kritiko, takot ang Vice Presidente. Kaya hindi daw dumalo doon sa hearing. Asa na daw yung bloodbath na sinasabi po ng Vice Presidente. Paano ho ba ito makakaapekto doon sa perception na yan, Doc, tungkol po sa accountability?
Well, yun nga, the accountability definitely is something that we would like to shed light, but it will come at the right venue, at the right forum. And this certainly is not the right venue for that. I mean, kung gusto nyo talaga mailatag ng Vice President yung kanyang depensa dito, kinakailangan talaga sa isang proper forum. And what is the proper forum? It's supposed to be in the Senate and not here, no? So yun yung maaring yung implication kasi, no, na gusto nilang gawin. And I'm very sure naman, no, that ang gusto nila dito talagang mangyari is the control of the narrative again and the optics. Very, very clear yan, no? Kasi bringing Madriaga to the core. And alam naman natin na itong tao na to is the credibility of this person is very, very questionable. And yet they brought him there, no? The idea is really to bring the into the consciousness of the people that the vice president may have committed something. Pero yun nga, wala rito yung vice-presidente para salagin itong mga issues na to, no? Itong mga binabato sa kanya na to. So I think it's a good thing that the Vice President did not fall for their trap.
Po, nabanggit po ninyo itong si Ramil Madriaga na naging witness po nitong hearing dyan sa o resource person baga nitong Kamara doon sa pagdinig nga ng kaso ni VP Sara Duterte. Nakaapekto ho ba sa kredibilidad o sa imahe ng Vice Presidente itong mga naging pahayag, itong mga naging baga akusasyon ni Ramil Madriaga laban po sa Vice Presidente?
I don't think, no, not at all. But unless of course you're somebody who is a fan of telenovelas or mga teleserye, siguro maaari mong paniwalaan because of the script, no, that was I don't know who wrote it, maybe Trillians is the one who wrote the script. But this is not very convincing at all, no, because there are a lot of loopholes in the testimonies that he presented. Not to mention the very annoying episode wherein he was crying, no, na hindi naman bago sa mga testigo na pinipresenta ng mga opposition. Even then may mga ganyan naman silang mga side lights, kumbaga nakakala naman nila nakakadagdag doon sa bigat ng kanilang testimonya, yung kanilang pag-iyak-iyak, no. What I'm seeing is that the evidences will not stand, especially legal scrutiny, no. There are so many loopholes sa kanyang mga binanggit, no. Unang-una na lang yung credibility niya, no. How are going to trust somebody who is detained right now and part of a notorious kidnap for ransom group, no. Is not even part of uniform personnel, no, para pagkatiwalaan siya ng mga Dutertes, no, kagaya na sinasabi niya. Yung kanyang mga birthday greetings na merong nakalagay si VP Sara na naka-imprenta na pangalan niya. Lahat naman halos na nagpapabati kay VP Sara may ganun din na pangalan, ano, hindi lang naman siya. So what makes him special? Yung painting na binabanggit niya, no, is another thing na binigay sa Davao talaga, na Davao painter kay VP Sara. And then yung mga phone calls, tsaka yung mga mga SIM cards na ginamit na hindi naman natin matitrace. So again, all of these things are just mere allegations without valid and contentious evidences. So why will it stand in a legal court, no? Kung ito ay puro kung hindi hearsay, mga fabricated na mga testimonies coming from a person whose credibility is very much tainted and very questionable. So I think walang traction at wala akong nakita na kagilalas o kamangha-mangha dito sa kanyang mga binanggit kahapon, ano. Rather, this is just a corroboration of the earlier statements that he made, na pinapatuloy, binipili ng mga kongresista natin na wala namang ibang gawin or layunin kundi nga sirain yung ating ikalawang Pangulo, no. Again, this is primarily because of their intention for the VP not to able to mount a good run and a good campaign for 2028. Yun lang naman ang bottom line nito, wala na pong iba. Okay? I think many Filipinos are already awakened to the truth that this is just a demolition job for the Vice President so that she will not be able to run and so that these people can continue whatever they're doing in the country to the government right now. And so if our countrymen really want a solid change to happen in 2028 at panagutin itong si Marcos at yung kanyang mga tauhan na talagang nagpa nagpayaman ng husto at nagpapahirap sa atin bilang isang sambayanan. I think wag na nating pansinin itong ingay nito. It's just all noise. Nothing more than that.
Opo. Isang kongresista po, itong si Congressman Paulo Marcoleta ay kinwestiyon po yung credibility po nitong si Ramil Madriaga during the hearing. Pero ang chairperson po ng House Committee on Justice ay nagbigay ng pahayag na strike out po itong may siguro ilan po kayo nandoon mismo strike out from the record itong statements po o naging pahayag ni Congressman Paulo Marcoleta. Ano po ang naging demeanor po doon, Prof?
Well, definitely, no. Kapag hindi sang-ayon doon sa kanilang narrative at hindi nila kakampi at alam nila na identify doon sa opposing camp, it does not really stand a chance for them. Pagpapakita na very arbitrary yung kanilang pagdinig na ginagawa, at yun nga yung sinasabi nila na presensya ng neutrality. There's really no such thing as that, no. Actually, hindi lamang si Representative Paulo Marcoleta ang pumatran dito, no? I think there are several other congressmen. I was there actually as I was doing. Representative Nazal, Robert Nazal of Bagong Henerasyon also made the same comments, no, na yung questionable talaga yung credibility nito ni Madriaga, no. So problema lang kasi syempre itong Justice Committee na to, ewan ko ba tinatawag nating Justice Committee, para sa akin it's really more of an injustice committee, no, because they're not being fair, they're not being neutral. So I really expect, no, na talagang i-strike out nila itong mga binanggit ni Representative Paulo Marcoleta. But if kung gusto nila na magkaroon ng impression yung taong bayan, hindi ginagawa nila na to para talaga sa paghahanap ng katotohanan at ng accountability, then I think they should pave the way or give some sort of leniency sa lahat ng iba't ibang sektor or sa lahat ng iba't ibang anggulo, no, regardless of the political color, para talaga makapagsalita naman at hindi lang sila yung nagmo-monopolize ng discussion. Well, anyway, it's their show. I call it their show, no? Kaya syempre pag palabas mo, gusto mo ikaw ang bida. No? It's as simple as that.
Opo. Pero natanong, ito bang nangyari kahapon ay na-control ba nila? Naging marami ho ba sa mga kongresista ngayon ang sumusuporta nitong mga naging pahayag ni Ramil Madriaga laban po dito sa pangalawang Pangulo?
Well, I think if the goal really of this proceeding is to convince congressmen, no, especially those that have already changed their minds from the previous 19 Congress who decided to vote for the impeachment of the Vice President. I don't think no amount of Madriaga or whatever perfectly woven story will make this congressman change their minds right now. Remember, it's not just simply about believing this stories of this person, not even the members of the Justice Committee convincing them, but it's really a matter of their own political survival. So what I mean is that if these people are thinking of 2028, the logical thing, based on the existing surveys, is to number one, align themselves with the vice president. So why are they going to change their minds just because of the stories of this guy Madriaga? So para sa akin, nakapagdesisyon na itong mga congressmen na to, and no amount of theatrics or whatever show will make them change their minds. So kaya nga ang maganda rito is pagbotohan na. Enough of this theatrics. At magbotohan na tayo para malaman at makita na. Kasi ang sa tingin ko, alam niyo, habang pinapatagal nila tong pagbobotohan na to, ginagamit nila maaari yung pagkakataon para sa mga ganitong mga palabas, at the same time para ma-promotion yung mga isipan ng taong bayan na talagang may pagkakasala yung ating ikalawang pangulo. At the same time, maaaring ginagamit nila ito para mas makakuha sila ng mas maraming mga tao na susuporta sa kanila. In short, ginagapang nila yung mga ibang kongresista para bumoto, pabor sa kanilang posisyon. Pero if they're very confident, as how they were confident last year, bakit hindi na lang nila kaagad pagbuto? Magkaalaman natin.
Opo. Prof, bago po sa ibang mga issues, ipasa ko muna kay Partner Admiral para po sa mga karagdagang katanungan.
Prof, magandang umaga. Sumatotal po, hindi po kayo naantig sa pag-iyak at pagiging emosyonal ni Madriaga kahapon?
Not at all. Actually, he was crying, I was actually laughing. I was laughing at what's going on in his mind. Bakit, siguro iniisip niya, bakit ko pa kailangan gawin to? Bakit ba ako nagsisinungaling na ganito? Sapat ba yung pera na ibabayad sa akin? Sapat ba yung kapalit nito sa kahihiyan na ginagawa ko sa sarili ko? Maaaring yun yung dahilan ba't siya naiiyak, O kaya naiiyak siya, baka dahil hindi pa naibibigay sa kanya yung maleta. Maraming dahilan. Pero yung pag-iyak na dahil doon sa sakit na naranasan niya o doon sa katotohanan ng kanyang binabanggit, I think that's something that definitely did not move me at all. Actually, it moved me to laugh more than to empathize with what he was feeling at the moment.
Opo, may komento dito ang isang abogado, si Attorney Marlon Busantog. Sabi niya rito, evidence to be believed must not only proceed from the mouth of a credible witness, but it must be credible in itself in conformity with common experience and observation of mankind. Ang kinukot daw niya rito ay ang Supreme Court. Sabi pa niya rito, ni attorney, kung Marcoleta is correct, the time to question the credibility of a witness is when he is presented as a witness and not after his testimony. Prof, ano masasabi niyo po?
Well, exactly. I totally agree with that, And yun nga, yung mismong personality kasi, the persona himself is actually tainted with a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of problems with regards to yun nga, the credibility itself, And so kasi yung problema, kapag halimbawa sa kanila manggagaling yung witness na ilalatag halimbawa ng kabilang kampo, they really would really make ample use of the credibility card, Pero kapag naman pag-atake nila yung tao nito, kahit sino lang pwede nilang gamitin, kahit nilang sino kaya nilang representan. So I think it's very arbitrary, very, very one-sided, and wala talagang neutrality at all. So yun yung nakakatakot dito sa ganitong klase ng pagdinig. Pero yun nga, I am maintaining the idea, na again, I would like to appeal to our countrymen na itong pagdinig na to, kung ano man itong ginagawa nila sa Justice Committee, is not yet a part of the formal proceeding. In fact, kahit nga hindi umattend dito yung ating ikalawang Pangulo, kahit nga wala na ganitong pagdinig, actually, they have the power and they could already make the vote right now, which I don't know why they're not doing it. Again, it's just because they are convincing the public more than they're trying to convince themselves that this impeachment is going somewhere.
Opo. Prof, hindi po ba ang Kamara ang magiging piskal o prosecutor nito sa mismong kaso? Pero di ba ang typical na prosecutor, hindi naman siya magkokomento nga kung halimbawa binastos siya doon sa mga nagreklamo at inireklamo, kung hindi sisipot, wala kang maririnig niyan eh. Kumbaga, sige lang, binigyan ka ng pagkakataon, pasisiputin ka, ito, magpaliwanag ka. Nagbigay naman si VP Sara nung hindi na at nagpasaklolo, binanatan kasi nagpasaklolo doon sa na kini-question yung pamamara. Wala naman tayong naririnig dito sa typical na piskal po. Kung nakikita niyang binabastos siya, wala siyang palag. edi ipausad niya yung mismong reklamo laban doon sa isang individual. Di po ba, Prof?
Tama po. I totally agree with that. You know? I mean, they have the resources and they have the legal recourses at their disposal. And definitely they can actually do this. Pero yun nga, at the end of the day, kasi, maliwanag na kaya nila ito ginagawa is because, number one, they really would want to create an optics that will somehow give the impression that the vice president really is involved in whatever allegations that they're presenting. But again, it's the control, the control of the narrative and the control again of the impression that the public would want would like to have, particularly with this issue. And so again, if you try to look at it, this is again tied up to 2028. What they're doing right now is not just to derail the vice president, but to condition the minds of the public na meron siyang kasalanan. Pero the point is, ito ba yung sapat ba itong mga binabanggit nitong isang tao na to, isang convicted criminal para sa pagbabago ng ating pagkilala doon sa ating ikalawang Pangulo, no? So, alam naman natin na hindi na ito bago, no? Maraming beses na nila itong ginawa para lang i-discredit ang mga Dutertes, no? In fact, Trillanes is very, very siguro parang is a master in this deception, ano. Pero at the end of the day, wala namang napatunayan, no? Wala namang kinahinatnan. And ang nangyayari, instead of them gaining traction to prove their cause, ang nangyayari dahil nga in the end ilalabas na kasinungalingan lang, mas lumalakas pa yung mga Dutertes, no, dahil sa kanilang ginagawa na panggigipit, no. So wag na tayong no, ang sa akin lang itong mga congressmen natin na to, wag na sila sanang magmaganda o magmagaling na parang ginagawa nila to para doon sa accountability and justice. No. Truth. It's plain and simple, and every Filipino knows and understands. Kaya nila to ginagawa is primarily to discredit and to destroy the vice president, because they believe that the vice president is the only logical opponent that they will have in 2028, and that they will never allow the vice president to run because alam nila sila yung magiging kawawa kapag hindi nga Pangulo ang ating vice president.
Pero di po ba, Prof, lahat ng sasabihin doon sa pagdinig na yon, meron na silang advance na kopya ng affidavit at pwede nilang mabusisi in advance, ma-check nila kung ang bawat sasabihin nito ay may katotohanan ba? Kasi ang sabi sa panig ng kay Attorney Panelo, yung may hawak ng perjury case, VP Sara versus kay Madriaga, laway lang daw ang puhunan at walang mga ebidensya. At yung mga ipinakitang ebidensya, like halimbawa, doon po sa meron daw siyang ibinigay na painting, no? Mismo yung nagpinta na sabi ni Madriaga, kanya daw scholar, angkan ng mga mayayaman. Ng mga Gaisano, Visayas at Mindanao, marami yung mga mall at makilala yan. Sinabi niyang scholar daw niya at mula daw sa Laguna. Well, in fact, sabi ng mismong nagpinta at nagbigay kay Vice President Sara nung pinta, 2021 niya ibinigay ito during mayor pa ang pangalawang Pangulo. Sinabi niya, hindi siya scholar kasi ang yaman nga at hindi rin siya taga Laguna at siya ay taga Davao. At pati yung mga halimbawa, binate yung nabanggit mo kanina, si Madriaga sa birthday, kung kilalang kilala ni VP Sara, si Madriaga, ganun ba ang mag-greeting sa kilalang kilala talaga na may nakapapel at nakalagay ng pangalan? And nakita ko nga sa social media, lahat ng mga nagpabati kay VP Sara na may ganon, inilabas nila. So ibig sabihin ba, ganito, pati yung pinag-greet ko, yung nanay ko, hawak-hawak ni VP Sara yung bond paper, nandun yung pangalan, ibig sabihin, close na sila doon. Prof, ano masasabi niyo po?
Actually, on the contrary, no, dahil nga sa lahat ng pinagpababati kay VP Sara, meron siyang ganon. It means na talagang yung connection nila hindi malalim or hindi ganun maaring ordinaryo lamang na nagpapabate itong si Madriaga sa kanya. Hindi kasi totoo yan I agree with that, na kung talagang malalim yung kanilang pagkakakilanlan sa isa't isa, you don't need that paper in the first place, or you will make it appear to be different compared to the other people na nagpapabati sa'yo. Kasi nga, meron kayong deeper connection. It's not just mere acquaintance or not just mere pabati or pasama, pero talagang kilala mo siya. So iba yung iba yung dapat na trato, no. Pangalawa, tama 'yon, yung sa painting, no. Kung ako nga ngayon I am really egging on the real painter, the owner of this painting, kasi that's a violation of for artistic and intellectual property rights, no. Na ina-claim nitong ibang tao na ginawa at binigay ng ibang tao, when in fact we know the owner and the owner is alive and claiming that it's really hers, no. So dapat madagdagan yung kaso nito ni Madriaga patungkol dito. And among other things, so maraming loopholes, no, maraming loopholes that I think will not really stand legal scrutiny. And siguro dapat humanap na ng ibang witness itong opposition. I mean itong mga nasa Justice Committee, somebody na mas kahit paano meron namang kredibilidad at gawa ng mas maganda-gandang script. Yung hindi ganito kalamya at katawa-tawa actually.
Opo, may iba lang po ako ng topic naman po, Prof. Nakadagdag pogi points po ba o dagdag kredibilidad, dagdag puntos sa imahe po ng kasalukuyang administrasyon, lalo na kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos Jr., yung kanyang pag-jumping jack po?
Ako po naniniwala ang sakit niya ay sa internal, meaning sa kung totoo man na meron siyang diverticulitis that affects the intestines very well, no. And I think yung sakit niya wala naman sa paa, wala naman sa externalities niya, no. So madaling gawin, madaling i-project yung gano'n na malakas ka, no. Pero point is, I think what is important here is magbigay talaga ng medical bulletin, ibigay talaga yung galing sa doktor na authenticated, at para malaman din natin yung kanyang tunay na kalagayan. Kasi yung pagpapakita na ikaw ay tumatakbo, anybody could do that. Pero what we are looking for here is the truth coming from a medical expert, a medical practitioner that will attest that the president is in a good state of health, no? And mas maganda rin sana kung hindi lang good state of physical health, mas importante yung good state of mental health, no? Because that is something na kailangan talaga natin. And if the talks are true about the president being a cocaine user, definitely his mental and emotional state is going to be very much impaired by the substances that he's using. So I think kailangan yung medical bulletin or yung medical report na ibibigay sa atin comprehensive and at the same time very very detailed, no? At hindi lamang ito na ipapakita kagaya nito sa paglalakad, pagja-jumping jack niya, no? Dahil maaaring yung kalusugan na tinitingnan natin dito is supposed to be something that is holistic, yung total well-being niya, physical, mental, even emotional state, no? Kinakailangan masiguro natin that he is fit to lead.
Opo, kasi ginawa din ata, hindi naman pagja-jumping jack yung ginawa ng tatay niya, pero meron ding ginawa na nagpapatunay na wala siyang sakit, pero yun pala, yun nga, napatunayan na meron niyang sakit. Pero after po nito, naghamon po siya. Dati siya yung hinahamon na, sige, kung hindi nga totoo yung sinabi ng ate mo, na meron kang sakit at the same time yung pag-take ng drugs, mag-hair follicle drug test ka nga. Siya rin, meron siyang challenge din ngayon na sige nga, sabayan niyo ako ng exercise, mag-gym tayo, mag-weights tayo, tingnan natin kung sino ang yung mga ganon na mga challenge, well, maraming mga nag-accept ng challenge na yon. Pero yung challenge sa kanya, to the point na meron pang dumulog ngayon sa Korte Suprema nga para nga doon sa estado ng kalusugan ng Pangulo. Ano po masasabi niyo po rito, Prof?
Well, definitely, no. Unang-una, nung napansin ko lang, nung siya ay medyo tumalon, parang dalawang jumping jack lang yata, tapos nagsalita siya. Very apparent na medyo nandun yung hingal, na talagang medyo hinahabol niya yung kanyang hininga. And that's just two jumping jacks, no. And yeah, well, we take into consideration that the president's age, hindi naman talaga siya na bata. Pero yun nga, binabanggit natin dito kasi is that yung overall health is very, very important. And yeah, if it's really up to the challenge, then siguro dapat unahin yung unang challenge lang for hair follicle test kasi this is really what the entire country is waiting for a very long time already. No? Kaya lang hindi niya magawa or hindi niya ginagawa for whatever reason. And that is something that is unacceptable sa atin bilang taong bayan na kanyang pinaglilingkuran. And iklaro ko lang na itong na mga declaration ng kanyang estado ng kalusugan, this is guaranteed in the Constitution. No? And it's not just a matter of it's just a matter of us telling or requesting. This is a matter of the president, not even a prerogative on his part, but it is a matter of constitutional duty na ibigay niya sa atin yung tunay na estado ng kanyang kalagayan. No? So hindi ito kumbaga para sa akin hindi ito selective. Kung kailan niya gusto at kailan niya ayaw, kung pwede niyang gawin. It is really a matter of necessity na alam natin yung tunay na kalagayan ng kanyang kalusugan.
Dahil nga dyan sa issue na yan, Prof, ay mas pinaigting pa nga ngayon ng gobyerno yung paglaban po sa pagpapakalat ng fake news. Paano ho ba ito, ano bang magiging ano bang mga paraan? Paano na hindi magiging tool ito para mapatahimik po yung kritisismo?
Well, number one, kinakailangan talaga magkaroon tayo ng mga effective fact-checking and verification mechanisms. No? Mas maganda kung interagency ito. No? DICT could actually help. The PCO could actually help. The Philippine Information Agency could also help in this regard. No? And I think ito naman problema kasi ng fake news is really something that does not know any political color. No? Ibig sabihin, kahit naman yung nasa kabilang panig or nasa mga Duterte or Marcos side, parehong po pwedeng maapektuhan ito. Nga lang, kinakailangan siguro na talaga mapaigting natin yung kampanya laban dito. And if the government is really serious about this, then they could definitely file charges or probably imprison people that will be charged of this crimes, no, primarily. Kasi talagang nakaka-apekto to lalong-lalo na doon sa pagkakaroon lalo natin ng divisiveness or pagkakawatak-patak natin. Mas maganda talagang ma-resolve ba itong issue na to. And siguro mas maganda na magsimula ito mismo sa Malacanang press corps, sa Malacanang press officer natin. Kasi mahirap kuminsan na si mismong Claire Castro, siya yung nagpe-peddle ng mga fake news. And mahirap na dapat yung palace press officer ang nagbibigay ng katotohanan. Pero mahirap kung siya mismo ang pinanggagalingan ng mga fake news, na madalas naman talaga namumutaw sa kanyang mga labi.
Opo, at huling issue na lang, Prof, itong pagkakahirang kay Mayor Baste Duterte bilang leader ng PDP Laban. Gaano ho ba ito ano ho ba yung masasabi po ninyo? Magandang strategy ho ba ito para po sa 2028 elections?
Yes, definitely. No, I think what we're seeing right now is a resurgence of the PDP Laban. Remember na bago nga itong administration ni President Marcos, the PDP Laban is the most formidable supramajority party, and I think we're seeing right now that if in case everything will align and hopefully the Vice President will use the PDP Laban as her party as a vehicle for her candidacy, then I think right now, I think it's really a matter of great imperative that it should be led by another Duterte. And I think Mayor Baste Duterte certainly fits the bill. I saw how he was able to talk and address that big crowd of people in Club Filipino last Sunday. And I'm really seeing traces of the former President Duterte in him. The only difference is that he's young, he's very idealistic, very exuberant, and at the same time very, very brave. And I think that is what is essentially needed for the leadership of a big party like the PDP Laban. Kailangan natin ng ganong klase ng leader, sa isang napakalaking organization kagaya ng PDP Laban. And I really believe that he will be capable of leading PDP Laban and to becoming again one of the more dominant and solidified political parties in the country.
Opo, at given his political exposure ngayon, Prof, ay nitong si Mayor Baste Duterte, gaano ho ba realistic na magiging option B o Plan B ito para sa presidential election kung sakaling ang tutuluyang ipa-impeach itong si Vice President Sara Duterte?
Well, maganda na meron na silang inilalatag na mga contingency mechanisms, kasi hindi naman talaga natin alam kung ano mangyayari. I'm sure that in the game of politics, strategies really do matter, and they matter a lot, especially during crunch times. And I think yung pagiging crucial nitong decision na to, kung sakasakali man, I think at least nakikita na natin, naipapakita na hindi lamang sa Davao, kundi sa buong bansa, that this Duterte, the younger Duterte, Mayor Baste Duterte, has the makings of a good leader as well, just like in the same pedigree as that of his father and that of VP Sara Duterte. And I think this is really good, kasi hindi natin talaga alam kung anong mangyayari. I think the opposition, the administration, alongside yung kanilang mga kaalyado like the Makabayan Bloc at itong mga kongresista na masyadong humahanga dito sa kalakaran na nangyayari ngayon, they will do everything to prevent a Duterte from being in power. So if they cannot prevent Sara Duterte, then I think they need to also work double time right now to probably think of how they could neutralize Mayor Baste Duterte. So in that way, nakiging kumbaga parang mas dumadami yung kinakailangan nilang siraan, kumbaga. So mas nagiging mahirap para sa kanila, kasi kung dati si VP Sara lang yung kanilang iniisip, ngayon Mayor Baste Duterte could be a viable alternative as well for 2028. And the reality is that itong mga tao naman talaga na naniniwala at nakikisimpatya, talagang umaasa sa pagbabalik ng mga Dutertes, hindi ko nakikita sila na kung halimbawa may si VP Sara ay hindi makakahabol barring any unforeseen circumstances, legal impediments, these people will not go and vote for somebody that they will be endorsing. Definitely hindi ganun ang mangyari. So I think maganda na meron talagang kumbaga backup plan ang mga Dutertes, para yung vote base nila, merong ibang pupuntahan na alternative. And definitely hindi ito mapupunta doon sa kalaban, kasi napakahirap bumoto ng labag sa iyong kalooban. Kaya mo lang kailangan bumoto is just for the sake of exercising your right, but you are not fully committed and you do not fully believe to this person in his ideals and his political platforms. And ito yung iniiwasan na dito ng mga Dutertes. So maganda kung nalatag ito kung sakali man na siya yung possible na alternative candidate for 2028, na this early nagkakaroon na siya ng national exposure at nagkakaroon na siya ng national clout.
Opo, huli na lamang po, Prof, kasi meron ako nabasa sa post din ni Attorney Israelito Torion at ang maganda raw nakatandem ni Vice President Sara Duterte bilang kanyang Vice Presidente sa 2028 ay yung kanyang kapatid talagang matitiyak na iwas na may mag-traitor pa sa kanya. Prof, anong nakikita niya po?
Well, that could be a good option also. Nabanggit naman ng ating ikalawang Pangulo na yung kanyang napipisil na Vice President is somebody na talagang tututok sa pagpapanagot sa mga magnanakaw at sa mga nagnakaw sa ating kabanang bayan. And kumikita natin yung rhetorics at saka yung statements na binitawan ni Mayor Baste Duterte nung linggo, no? Talagang nandun yung kanyang masidhing pagkamuhi, no? Lalong-lalo na dito kay President Marcos at sa kanyang mga katiwalian na ginawa at pagnanakaw sa bayan. So I think maaring maganda yung magiging tandem if ever this will really happen. And I'm very certain that the Philippines will be in good hands, no, with the siblings come 2028 if in case that they will be running together, magiging maganda ito para sa ating bayan.
Alright, Prof, siguro yung huling mensahe para sa ating mga kababayan na nanonood po at nagkikinig sa mga oras na ito.
Well, yun nga po, no, itong mga nagaganap na mga ingay on the side are really aim for 2028, nothing more, nothing less. We just need to be very vigilant again. We need to understand the dynamics of politics in the country. And more important than this, no, siguro mas mahalaga na kalampagin natin yung pamahalaan na ngayon na maging mas responsive doon sa kinakaharap nating crisis right now. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po kayo.
Maraming salamat, Prof, sa inyo po oras. Good morning. Yan po mga kababayan, si Professor Froilan Calilong, isa pong political analyst ng ating pong nakasama na pakinggan ngayong umaga.